coming up at 6.
Hundreds of thousands of pounds of old TVs and electronics left for disposal. I'll tell you how St. Joseph County is trying to get rid of them.
A new year and a new outlook for a troubled local city, while leaders are hoping you'll head back downtown.
Reaction tonight following the president's decision to take executive action on gun control.
First, fast, accurate, with Jennifer Copeland and Rick Schutt. You're watching WSBT 22 News at 6.
If a child can't open a bottle of aspirin, we should make sure that they can't pull a trigger on a gun.
President Obama laying out his plans today to strengthen gun control. He says he's not waiting for Congress to take action.
Yeah, take a look. The president's plan includes requiring dealers who sell firearms at gun shows and online to be licensed and conduct background checks. It changes a federal rule to keep people with mental health restrictions from getting guns, and it asks for an additional 200 ATF agents and hires more than 230 additional FBI agents to help process background checks. Now, the president insists this plan is within his constitutional right.
The executive action has sparked quite the reaction with local politicians, too. Republican Indiana Congresswoman Jackie Walorski says it is, quote, yet another example of deplorable overreach and blatantly infringes on the Second Amendment.
Now, Republican Senator Dan Coates calls it unconstitutional and a disregard of the separation of powers that infringes on the rights of law-abiding Americans. The politicians aren't the only ones reacting right now.
Local gun control and gun rights advocates are speaking out on this, and WSBT 22's Patrick Roth is here. And Patrick, you know, most of today's reaction really depends on how you see the issue.
Yeah, Jennifer, it's safe to say that President Obama's actions hasn't really changed anyone's mind on this issue. Some people think it's a good first step, but others say it's a step too far. As Diana Hess watched President Obama lay out his latest plan for gun control, she had one thought.
Well, I think it's steps that should have been taken a long time ago, so I think it's you know, well past time. I'm worried about just the sheer number of guns that are already out in our population as it is.
That thought was pretty much the exact opposite of John Pemberton's.
I mean, they're always talking about, you know, proponents for gun control, always talk about more stricter background checks and those kinds of things, but they already exist. And it's one of those things we got to follow the stuff now instead of worrying about all these other kind of laws and that kind of stuff.
Gun control advocates say today's announcement was a good first step to at least attempt to reduce the number of guns that are on the street. But gun rights advocates say existing gun control laws aren't working.
Criminals don't follow laws, so we can make all the laws that we want. I think you hurt honest citizens in the end more than you do criminals.
I don't think that there's evidence to support that. And I also am glad to not be living in the wild, wild west anymore.
At the end of the day, the reaction to the president's announcement and to the entire issue of gun control really comes down to one thing. How is the Second Amendment to be interpreted?
I think the biggest thing is, I mean, the Constitution says that the right should not be infringed. Now, should people get training to go with that right? Definitely.
If you look at anything we do, really, any of the rights we have, there are certain limitations or responsibilities that come with those rights.
As you'd imagine, this is far from a settled issue. Congressional Republicans have vowed to fight President Obama's actions both in Congress and in the courts. And Rick, it's also worth pointing out that since this is only an executive action as opposed to a law, it could expire when the next president takes office in January of 2017.
Patrick, thank you. Guns are also at the heart of controversy growing right now in Constantine. The village is considering a ban on assault rifles. The council is considering a request after someone submitted information on the number of assault rifles across the country. The village manager says people should not read too much into this suggestion.
I don't want people to be confused and to think that the council is driving to adopt this assault weapon ban. That's not the case at all. They were asked by one person to look at the literature.
In Michigan, local governments can't overrule state gun laws, so even if a ban was passed, it would be largely symbolic.
You know, we saw a lot of sunshine today, but, you know, don't let it fool you. It was still very cold out there. You know that. But you could see people out at Bethel College today bundled up, walking around campus. They needed those layers today. Meteorologist Matt Rudkin here now. And we're talking a pretty chilly night tonight, too. It was cold last night.
Yeah, back into the teens tonight for sure, with the fresh snow on the ground still and the clear skies. Temperatures now keep in mind, it feels so cold because we haven't seen normal temperatures for the past about 2 months or so. Temperatures now in the 20s, even some low 30s. Our normal afternoon high temperature this time of year is 32. So yes, this is a little bit below average, but it's also 6 p.m. and Again, it's not by that much. Live look in Elkhart, beautiful sunset there in downtown. Here's your temperature forecast the next several hours. We continue to fall into the teens. When you join us again at 11, we're in the upper teens. Those of you away from the larger communities, probably in the middle teens. So certainly a cool night tonight. But again, our normal overnight low, about 18 degrees. So it feels cold because we haven't seen true cold weather yet. That is going to change as we get towards next week. Our first Arctic outbreak of the season is coming our way. We'll let you know how cool we get coming up in your forecast here in just a few minutes.
All right, Matt, just a bit, thanks. Well, developing trust and decreasing crime. That's how Benton Harbor's newly elected mayor wants to transform the city. Marcus Muhammad replaced former Mayor James Hightower. Now, WSBT 22 Suzanne Spencer just stepped out of an interview with him. And Suzanne, downtown growth is one of his priorities.
He says it's not what Benton Harbor was, but what Benton Harbor will be. A drive-through, it would show dozens of vacant storefronts, empty spaces, but it would also show a prospering Whirlpool headquarters, something the mayor says is crucial to the city's success. Most recently, the company invested nearly $85 million on Main Street. Muhammad wants to start conversations with investors, offer business incentives and tax breaks in hopes of restoring beauty and growth to downtown.
We have to make the city of Benton Harbor attractive. We have to make the city of Benton Harbor business friendly, and we also have to make her investor friendly. And this will be done and can be done in my first 100 days.
The mayor told me his first 3 priorities in office are to re-image the city government, to build a better relationship between that city government and citizens, and also to beautify the city. In Benton Harbor tonight, Suzanne Spencer, WSBT 22 News.
Elkhart's new mayor is spending his first days on the job talking to city workers. Tim Neese calls them his co-workers. He spent time today meeting workers at the city garage. Now, the former city councilman and state representative says he wants to let the people in those departments do their jobs.
I'm not interested in running the police or fire department or code enforcement or the street department, but I want to oversee it. When there's a problem that needs my attention, then I want to be made aware of that and then resolve that concern.
Tomorrow morning, Neese will swear in city department heads.
Well, new information in a big debate at Indiana State Capitol. A Senate committee is expected to talk about a proposal to broaden civil rights protections to include sexual orientation and gender identity. The Senate leader says his fellow Republicans aren't in agreement on extending the protections, but the state chamber is in favor of the protections. Governor Pence is hinting he may finally reveal his stand on the issue during his State of the State address later this month. Well, it looks like Republicans are supporting Governor Mike Pence's request for additional funds for the Regional Cities program. St. Joseph, Marshall, and Elkhart counties have been awarded $42 million to help boost economic development. Lawmakers approved $84 million to be split between 2 winning regions last year, but they still need to approve another $42 million for the 3rd region. The state collected additional funds during the tax amnesty period.
New at 6, a Concord High School teacher is now back in the classroom. The social studies teacher was placed on leave last month after a controversial project on segregation. Signs saying blacks only and whites only were put up around the school. The district says it fully investigated that incident, and it determined the teacher did not act in a way to discriminate or harass others. The teacher still has not been identified. The teacher has apologized and is taking a diversity awareness program.
A big accomplishment for a Notre Dame coach with another win on the court. Buffett McGraw is now joining an elite club. Pete has the details ahead in sports.
And Old Man Winter making his presence very known right now. Matt's talking some extremely cold temperatures in the 7-day next.
Now, your accurate first alert weather forecast with meteorologist Matt Rudkin.
Well, anybody out enjoying the snow has to bundle, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, temperatures in the single digits last night. We're into the teens tonight, so a lot of the kids enjoying it, but they're all bundled up. Here's one picture. This is from Steve, a familiar face here at WSBT and voice on Sunny 101.5 with Jack, Steve, and Abby, obviously. This is his little daughter, absolutely loving the snow there in Osceola. So thanks to Steve for that picture. And if you have pictures of your kids, your pets, of yourself enjoying the snow, the winter weather, email it to us at share@wsbt.com. That way we can share them with you. All right, remaining quiet through late week with moderating temperatures. Rain and some snow arrives by the weekend and even late week before the first push of Arctic air arrives as we get towards next week. Satellite and radar imagery is nice and quiet, but this time of the year when you get the clear skies like this, fresh snow on the ground, what's called radiational cooling happens real fast. Any warmth that was absorbed by the sun gets radiated into space really, really quick. So you'll see these temperatures in the 20s here fall into the teens throughout the next couple of hours. 25 in South Bend, 30 Michigan City and Valpo, 25 LaGrange, 26 up along the lakeshore and Benton Harbor, St. Joe. Notice winds fairly light, 5 to 10 miles an hour. That gives you wind chills already in the teens, but if we had a gustier wind, it would be even worse than this. So all in all, not too bad for early January. 25 is the temperature, the dew point 17. Dew point this time of year, you know, in the summer, we look at this number to illustrate how sticky it'll feel outside. Well, in the winter, we use this to help guide us to an overnight low. Typically, this number falls to around this number overnight. So teens, certainly a good bet, especially with that fresh snow on the ground. And notice a wider view of temperatures, no Arctic air showing up just yet. As a matter of fact, some warming out here in parts of the plains, and that will get here for late week. So we were in the upper 20s today with a decent amount of sunshine. It was beautiful. Same deal tomorrow. A couple more clouds and about 5 degrees warmer. Come Thursday, a little bit more in the way of clouds and moisture, but even warmer. We're talking temperatures near 40 degrees. Futurecast overall is pretty uneventful, but wanted to show it to you so you can watch the wind arrows here still out of the south, which is going to help bring in some of that extra moisture and also the warmer temperatures. We're into tomorrow evening. Notice very quiet, but eventually tomorrow night and into Thursday, we start to see some moisture make its way from the south. You can see here in central Illinois, the pink, that would be that freezing rain and sleet. Locally, nothing yet, but that will get here late Thursday and into Friday. So tonight, 17 with mostly clear skies. If you live away from the larger communities, likely lower teens for you. 34 for tomorrow, mostly sunny with some afternoon clouds developing. We're into the upper 30s, low 40s here the next couple of days. Rain and some snow arrives for Friday, lasting through the weekend. And you're starting to see the beginning of that Arctic outbreak with highs struggling to get into the teens. Overnight lows well into the single digits. Here's a look at it. It's an area of high pressure, and it brings in a lot of cold Canadian air. Not record-breaking, not like the past 2 years, but certainly, without a doubt, the coldest we've seen thus far this season. When you factor in the wind with single-digit temperatures, the wind chill values next week will probably be close to double digits below zero. So again, no doubt the coldest year of the season thus far, and starting to illustrate the more active pattern we're going to get into for the rest of January and February. We knew we couldn't keep the 50s like we had in December, but yeah. So
why
far it's
couldn't
been
we
pretty
keep
easy.
the 50s?
Physics, I guess. I don't know. Because that's where we live, right? This doesn't happen. But it's nice to see the snow blowers going up at Swiss Valley. I was up that way, and you could see they're making snow. So,
yeah, so many people have been waiting for that.
For snowboarding?
Yeah.
So that would be fun. Get the tubes ready for the kids and push them down the hill.
Tubing at St. Pat's Park, maybe.
Yeah, there's some fun. There you go.
All right, thanks, Matt. Well, could it cost you more to throw away your old electronics? Why that's becoming a big problem for a local community. Next.
First to cover breaking news with Jennifer Copeland and Rick Shutt. Your accurate first alert weather forecast with meteorologist Matt Rudkin. And sports with Pete Byrne. You're watching WSBT 22 News at 6.
I knew at 6, a lot of us have them in our homes, but what do you do with those old TVs and electronics?
Yeah, it's the same problem St. Joseph County is having. WSBT 22's Danielle Kennedy is at the live desk right now. And Danielle, the county recycling center is kind of running out of space now. Now there's a fine if you just throw away your old electronics in the garbage, right?
There is, Jennifer, and that's because electronics have been banned from Indiana landfills since 2011. The Solid Waste Management District saw record drop-off rates last year, and that has leaders wondering, how much will it cost to get rid of these old electronics?
We pretty much take any kind of electronics, anything to do with a computer, anything that makes a computer work, the printers, televisions, VCRs. We even got a disco ball at one time.
And because of that, there's no shortage of used electronics here.
A lot of what we get are the old style televisions and monitors that they don't make anymore.
Look at that.
Those screens just keep on coming.
This is what we've taken in the last couple of weeks, and we were closed for the holidays. during that time.
Sheebish says the county usually collects about 230,000 pounds of electronics every year. They're stacked into these semi-trucks and shipped off to a recycling company. But in 2015, that number rose to roughly 410,000 pounds.
It's costing us money to get rid of other people's stuff.
Chris Kronowski at the Salvation Army on Ireland Road says he sells about 10 or 15 TVs a week, but sometimes twice as many are dropped off.
If your TV doesn't work, please don't drop it off here. We can't help somebody because we have to spend money to get rid of that TV properly.
We can take these bags.
A price that the county is still trying to figure out how to cover, too.
The biggest issue for us right now is continuing to provide the service, and what is that cost going to be?
Indiana's electronic waste law requires manufacturers of devices with screens to collect and recycle some outdated equipment every year, but not all of it. Sheebish says the county still has to recycle the rest. He says he's reviewing new contracts for recycling companies, and he'll discuss the county's options at a commissioners meeting on Monday. His biggest fear, Jennifer and Rick, is that the public is going to have to pick up the tab for part of this.
Danielle, thank you. Pete's here for sports now, and quite incredible what Muffet McGraw has done in her career.
Yeah, amazing, especially when you think about where the women's basketball program when she showed up in town a couple decades ago. Now she joins perhaps the most elite club in college basketball. I'll tell you about that. Plus, the Irish men's basketball team has a new captain. We'll hear from Mike Bray about that next.
Now, sports with Pete Byrne.
Well, Muffet McGraw and her team deserve a little fun, right? Muffet entered extremely elite company over the weekend, winning her 800th career game. She joins just 4 other coaches, Mike Krzyzewski, Dean Smith, Pat Summitt, and Gino Auriemma, as the only 5 in college basketball history, man or woman, to win 800 games, coach in 7 Final Fours, and play in 5 national championships.
It is pretty amazing when you look and see who's in the club, and to say, I'm proud to say I'm the worst coach in the group. I think it's an amazing honor to be surrounded by so many people. You know, when you look at Mike Krzyzewski, Dean Smith, Pat and Gino that have done these things, it's an incredible honor.
Now McGraw and the Irish get back to chasing their 3rd consecutive ACC title this Thursday. Notre Dame will be on the road at Virginia. Meanwhile, the Irish men's team is looking to bounce back from a loss in opening weekend of league play when they head to Boston College Thursday. Last night, Coach Mike Bray named junior guard Steve Asturia a team captain. I spoke to Bray this afternoon about that decision. He says the combo of Asturia and Demetrius Jackson together need to be his voice on the floor.
My feeling is his presence is such a key for us. He's on the court almost the whole game. And I also think Demetrius and him together, joined at the hip, as the minutes that they play and the presence they have, that twosome is really important. And I think, number 1, he earned it, and number 2, moving forward, those 2 guys need to be my anchors. I need to really be able to talk to both of them, not just one of them in the heat of battle. And matter of fact, I had them in my office. They came in, I said, my guards, my captains, my sons. It's the 3 of us, baby.
Well, late last night, Colts owner Jim Irsay shocked the NFL by agreeing to bring back Chuck Pagano and general manager Ryan Grigson for 4 more years. Just days earlier, several reports had surfaced that Pagano would likely be fired. But apparently, Pagano gave Irsay one heck of a sales pitch yesterday. His next order of business, take an 8-8 football team and get them back to the top where they were not too long ago.
Like I told the players today, we didn't reach our ultimate goal this year. And we have one goal and one goal only, and you guys know what that goal is. We're going to work. We got a long road ahead. We know that. There's a lot to do.
He was able to save his own job, but his defensive coordinator is out, according to the NFL Network. Greg Minuski has been fired. The Colts were 26th this year out of 32 teams in total defense. They've got a lot of work to do, but that's certainly one place to start there. Yeah, Pete, thanks.
All right, we'll be right back.
Let's go take a look at that 7-day forecast.
Temperature's cold once again tonight, but it is January. This is what we expect. We get a little mild stretch here, about 10 degrees above average before we fall. A good 10 to 20 degrees below average by next week.
All right.
Up and down.
Yeah.
Up and down that time of year, that's for sure. Matt, thanks a lot. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you again at 10 over on SBT2, and then we're back here tonight at 11.
Have a great night.